Welcome, everybody, to another episode of GlideChat. My name is Michael Lombardo. Today with me is Fola Obashibi. She's an engagement manager at GlideFast. Fola, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. And how are
Awesome.
you today, too, Mike?
I always say on these, it's a Friday for us and it's any day for our listeners. But Fridays are great, right? So excited to be
Yeah,
here, excited for the weekend. Definitely an exciting week at GlideFast. A lot of exciting customer wins and go lives and new projects kicking off. So, every day is we're really blessed to be here.
I agree.
So, Fola, why don't you tell me your background and how you got into the ServiceNow space?
Okay, so my background. I'll start by saying that my background has nothing to do with IT.
Yeah.
So, my first degree was in agricultural economics.
Wow.
Wow, I know, right?
Wow. You could probably help me
And
with, you could help me not only set up my garden, but you could help me monetize it as well.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. I like that.
So that was what I did for my first degree. And I went into the commercial banking space immediately, started trying to see if I could be that person, that would work with large corporates to see how they could finance their projects and all those things. But, the minute I got into the banking system, I realized that I could do something different. I started to struggle with technology really.
Mm,
Like we tried to get loans approved for clients, and it was just very difficult because we didn't have automated tools to make it happen. We had
mhm,
to use paper approvals. So I would create like a 20 to 30 page um, facility approval memo and then
mhm.
print it out and take it to my
We call
manager.
that swivel chair. Yeah.
It was
That's
horrible.
yeah.
It was even worse than swivel chair. It was truck roll because I'd have to get the pool car driver to take me to the branch where my director used to sit, and then I'll get it signed off. It was just a lot. It was a hassle. And
Yeah.
then we realized that there must be opportunities for improvement here. Like there must be a way we can get this automated. And that
Yeah.
was when I started to have this mindset of technology and how technology could make things better.
Hmm.
And if you realize what I described, it was like a workflow that was not automated really. So we had to
Yeah.
automate
Yeah.
the system. Yeah. So I worked with our IT team at the time because I was like an end user trying to get things to happen. They would ask
Yep.
me a lot of questions. What do you do? What's your process like? Just to
Hmm.
see what tool we could use to automate it. And eventually, I started having that headspace of a business analyst, like thinking of improving processes using technology. And I would write out requirements. I would say, okay, so we need a tool that can do X, Y, Z, a tool that can capture all the customer details, and also that could maybe calculate the financial ratios for us to get the facility approval, things like that.
Yep.
And my headspace started going into that business
Yep.
analysis space, and I started enjoying it really. And within the organization I worked in, there was always opportunities to move around to the place where you think you would better function.
Yeah.
So I moved to, from there, I worked with them to build out that technology. We
Hmm.
eventually used Oracle at that
Hmm.
time. That
Yep.
was, I think, 2013. We used
Okay.
Oracle to get an application called Lead to Loan.
Hmm.
So we didn't have to do all
Leads
those,
alone.
yeah, so we didn't have to do all that paper thingy anymore. We just
Yep.
had to enter the customer details. It will pull from the CRM, get all the customer details. You enter all the financials from the customer's financial report, and it will just do everything for us.
Yeah.
Then
How much time
it
do you
goes
think
to,
that saved?
oh wow,
Days,
oh
months, weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
weeks, yeah,
Weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
weeks per request.
Yeah.
And imagine each person had several requests in a week. So it was
Yeah.
saving us a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I was really glad that I was part of that. And then I moved to a department called Customer Experience Technology.
Yep.
So that was when I got into
Wow.
what I now know as contact center technology.
Wow.
So I started working as that person that would look at how we can use technology to help
Hmm.
customers reach the organization and get their issues resolved quickly.
Hmm.
So think about the IVRs, how to ensure
Yep.
that the customer doesn't spend too long within an IVR, how to ensure that the customer speaks to the right agent quickly, how to ensure that if customers are complaining about a certain thing, we can find an automation to fix it. So that was my
That's great.
role. It was fascinating for me as well. And I did that up until 2019.
Hmm.
In 2019, I relocated with my family to Canada. So that was, now this is going into my ServiceNow story.
Yeah.
So in 2019, I came to Canada with my family. And my first job was with a very big telecoms company here in Canada. The first project I was put on was something called network design and planning as a senior business analyst. So I don't know that. Remember, my background is not in technology,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
program manager really believed, because he heard my story, and he really believed that I think
Yeah.
there's nothing you cannot do,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
jump on it. So,
Yeah.
and it was a great team. We had architects that were ready to teach me like I was in school. They would
That's
sit
awesome.
with a whiteboard and tell me everything about network design so that
Wow.
I could do my job as
That's
a
amazing.
BA.
Yep.
Um, and then the program manager called me and said, "Oh, that we've been struggling. We want to move everybody in this PMO into service now. And we're going to make it a project. We're putting you as a BA, and there's a PM on it." My first question was, "What is service now?
And then
And
you
where are
found
we
my
moving
video.
them?" Yeah. I'm like, "What is service now?" And he's like, "Well, I really don't know as well, but I have signed you up with the ServiceNow team.
Yeah.
They'll tell you what it is." So that's how the journey started, really, for me.
That's amazing. As you're saying your story, I'm going back to how I started. And it's funny because there's like these little glimpses and experiences that build over time, and you still pull from those experiences, right?
Yeah.
Like you can vividly, like as you were telling the how when you first started doing the business analysis of the mortgage, was it mortgages?
Loans generally.
Loans, yes, the loans process, right? Like you must still pull from that experience of like,
Absolutely.
hey, that was paper, and migrating to literally all paper to a platform, even if it was
Hmm.
Oracle, right?
Hmm.
That's your foundation. Then you move your way up. Then you learn about the networks. You pull a little bit from that, and then you get into ServiceNow, and you're ready for the big ServiceNow. And now you're obviously at GlideFast,
Hmm.
and now you're helping other customers do that. And that's like similar to me, right? Like I was a help desk analyst, and they said we were getting ServiceNow. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I'm on board. I'm ready. I want to learn this thing. I believed in it since the day I got my hands on it.
See? Well, yeah, you said you believed in it since the day you got your hands on
Yeah.
it. For me, I had, we're moving to ServiceNow. I didn't even have access to the ServiceNow instance of the organization, as at the time they told me. I'm like, what are we supposed to be doing there? But
We were talking a little bit about what is ServiceNow, and I have a video on YouTube that's like very long and drawn out, and I was just putting it
yeah.
out there, like I'd love to like somebody to give a shorter, easier to comprehend version of what is ServiceNow. So
Mm.
I don't know if you want to try to give it in a couple sentences, like what is ServiceNow? If you're trying to tell somebody who has no idea what is ServiceNow, what would you answer?
I would say, if you ask me, someone that has no idea, maybe someone that doesn't even know so much about technology, and just say,
Yeah.
"What is ServiceNow?" I would say, ServiceNow is a platform that saves you a lot of stress of manual work. Like, imagine a platform where you can manage things that would naturally come via emails or spreadsheets, and you find it difficult to track.
Hmm.
ServiceNow is that platform, or maybe call it a tool, call it anything,
Yeah.
that would help
Application.
you, an application, yeah, that would help you manage your processes, manage your, how you get things in, how you process it, and how you get it out.
That's perfect. That is a perfect definition in its simplest form, right? Because even if you say it's a workflow platform, people are like, well, what do you mean by workflow, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, that's a great way to taking things out of email and out of spreadsheets in a repeatable process, right?
Mhm.
Onboarding, for example, right?
Yeah.
these 50 things that have to happen at 50 different departments at large
Yeah.
organizations, right? And before, the manager would hire somebody and then they'd have to send 100 different emails to all these different people to get their security badge and their email access and all these different things. And then finally, we have now that's like the legacy way of doing it. Now we're, hey, fill out this form, and then behind the scenes, all the tasks kick off to the people we need it to, and the approvals, right? So yeah, it's truly a management platform, a management standardization of processes platform. And with the sky's the limit as far as how much automation you want to do. Like, that's the other thing. A lot of people think they have to go, zero to fully, AI or, it's like,
No.
just let's get you out of email first, right? Let's just get
Exactly.
there. That's okay. It's not going to be done after that. We're going to continue to improve it. But, there's only so much change a human can take, right? The people of
Exactly.
the organization. We have to, it's got to be not a slow burn. We can move fast, but we have to make sure adoption is happening. Right. And we have to make sure we truly refine these processes. And we really have to marry the technology and the in the process,
In
right?
the
The
process,
process
yeah,
and
I
technology
agree.
have to be together.
You described how you can use. So two things I wanted to talk about. You described how you can use ServiceNow to really simplify a process that could have been really complicated, like onboarding. And I mentioned contact center technology. It's
Yeah.
interesting that when I moved here in the telecoms company I worked,
Mm-hmm.
I eventually found myself in the contact center technology department after about 6 months
Yeah.
because someone eventually figured that this girl knows contact center technology. And one of the major projects I did with ServiceNow was the new agent onboarding. If a contact center agent is new, you need to get access to so many things. We give them multiple screens, we give them headsets, we give
Yeah.
them access to the telephony system, we give them
Yeah.
access to the normal, a lot of accesses and everything from different departments. So we use ServiceNow, the service catalog, to create that back end flow where the hiring manager or the team supervisor just has to submit one request in ServiceNow, and all the different departments get the different tasks, either simultaneously, either concurrently, anyhow you want it to work. ServiceNow can really help it happen that way. If you want to put in approvals somewhere within there because you want something to be approved first, ServiceNow makes it happen. So those are one of the things that helps me just stay glued to the technology. The way it simplifies processes is amazing.
Yes.
Another thing, the second thing I want to talk about is, how I experience ServiceNow with the banking system and facilitating loan with automation. No, that wasn't ServiceNow really. But very recently, I got assigned to a client that wanted to use ServiceNow for loan processing. They didn't know what they needed. Bingo. I'm like, this sounds
Now, was
familiar.
that intentional? Did somebody assign you to that project in knowing? Okay, see,
Yeah.
that's great. I applaud resourcing and you for communicating. Hey, this is the skill set I have, and I
Mhm.
don't know who had if Deep D had a say in assigning you there, but that's exactly what we're looking for, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the way the world's going now, especially the ServiceNow market, is very verticalized, right? So, you mentioned telco, you mentioned, the loan processing, right?
Mhm.
You know, because you have that firsthand experience, the same way that one of the reasons why GlideFast is so successful is because our founders and our leaders and majority of our people really have been customers, have been in our
Mhm.
customers' shoes, have lived through these challenges.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're an electrician, would you want a boss that has never done the job before? Would you
Yeah.
want someone telling you what to do, but they've never done it?
But never that. Yeah.
It's kind of hard. I could never imagine. I could never imagine having even just a pure consultant that hasn't really like lived it. And obviously, as you grow as a consultant, you learn
Mhm.
more things there, but there's nothing like having been in it, feeling those emotions, feeling the stress, right? Because digital transformation, there's a level of stress to it. There's a level of anxiety because there's a lot of people, kind of a lot of eyes on the project. In
Mm-hmm.
some cases, it can be an expensive investment. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I think if you have the right partner, if you have the right team involved, it can be tremendous value to the organization. Cost savings, customer
Yeah.
experience, employee experience, and employee retention. I bet, when you're processing those loans manually,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty brutal. You got to drive to another location. Like, if that company had made people's lives much easier, what you did, it sounded like,
Yeah.
you know, I bet retention would be better there as well. So
Yes, I
that's
agree. Yes, of course. Like you can imagine that eventually I got to experience a place where I could sit at my desk and watch my approval process happen,
yeah, yeah,
without having to move
yeah,
around and,
yeah.
just
It's
yeah.
amazing.
I could go on and on about my different experiences with how ServiceNow in itself has
Yeah,
really helped make my life better as a member of a team. And also even my team members, how they have experienced better processes, better timelines to delivery just
yep.
because of ServiceNow. It's interesting.
We're gonna leave off with one final question, but I have to mention this. That your background, I love these words I'm seeing. Be awesome. You got this. I can't see the rest. Don't quit,
Oh.
right? Like, the positivity, just your clients seeing those, and
Mhm.
your team member, adds a level of I may have to do that too here.
Do that.
It adds a level of positivity.
I
I
have
want
to
to
put
ask
that
you,
there really to encourage myself. Like I
I
have,
know.
yeah, I had a lot going on, like
Yeah.
trying to do because I'm currently trying to do my MBA. I'm working,
Yep.
I'm doing a lot of things, and I don't want. I'm just telling myself that what, you can
You
do
can do
everything.
this. You can do.
Mhm.
Listen, I've seen, out of myself, out of people around me, the people who are the most successful I've seen have that self confidence. They're not
Mhm.
watching what the next person's doing and worried about
Mhm.
everyone else, or they're worried about them. They're focused on themselves
Yeah.
and how they can be the best version of themselves. And challenges come up, but just we'll get through this. We'll get through this.
Mhm. Yeah.
But last question for you. Where do you think the future of ServiceNow is, right? So we've seen it evolve from swivel chair activities.
Mhm.
We've seen it go, we've seen the ITSM side. We've seen it go to the customer side. We've seen it get into the government and citizen
Mhm.
service management. We've seen it. I mean, you name it. We've seen a lot, right? Where do you think it's going next?
To be honest, even I am curious. Like I'm looking
I
at
know.
service now, I'm like, wow.
I know.
Like because service now, I feel like the sky is just the script, is just the springboard for the
It is.
platform.
It
Because
is.
I every time there's something new, and it's a really strategic approach. They're looking at different sectors, different industries, and making sure that there's something available for every sector. So to be honest, what is the future of service now? Where is service now going from here? I think simply put, I would say there's no stopping service now.
There's
Like
no limit.
there's
There's
no
no limit.
limit.
And I'll tell you why, right? Because it's a scalable platform
Hmm.
where solutions can be built out rapidly. The user experience and the UI
Hmm.
are top notch.
Yes.
They're still always focused on improving,
Hmm.
right? They're not complacent, right? We haven't, the platform, how it is today, is is like light years ahead from where it was just a couple releases ago,
Yeah.
and we get 2 new releases a year, and there's in the opportunity to solve slow, broken processes is infinite as well. So you put those things together in a bag, and we don't know how far it's going to go.
That's
Maybe
true.
maybe voting. Maybe we'll be voting for the next president in service now.
In
Who knows?
service now, yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
I,
But
I won't dispute that fact, really. It can
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah.
It can.
So great talking to you. I'm
Same
very
here.
excited to continue working with you, and thanks for hopping on a glide chat. This was
Mhm.
very exciting.
All right. Thank you so much.